Friends from the media, good morning. Welcome to the press briefing before the Executive Council meeting on Tuesday. The CEO will deliver a few opening remarks and then we'll open the floor for Q&As. Friends from the media, fellow citizens, good morning. On the 8th of May, Sunday, Hong Kong successfully held the election for the sixth term of CE for the city. As we all know, yesterday, I had a meeting with the CE-elect, Mr. John Lee, and that marked the formal start of a transition, handing over between the two terms of government, with about 50 days to go before the transition. So this term of government will ensure that we have a smooth transition. So we've already set up the CLX office, and we have provided manpower and resources. And in the coming days, we have at least the following tasks to complete. From now to the 30th of June, and also a few months beyond, there may be matters that warrant the attention of the chief executive. So yesterday, on Sunday, together with information provided from the Department of Justice and bureaus to the CE-elect office, and Mr. Johnny also said that if he needs supplementary information, he would approach us. And we said to him that we'll be more than happy to provide to him information from the DOJ as well as the other 13 bureaus. And of course, the second task is, well, this term of government is a bit special, and that is reorganization of government structure. As early back as in last year's policy address, after more than 4 years of experience in governance and taking into account views from the community, I presented a government reorganization structure, and the details were announced in January this year. I already said that the implementation of the package would wait until the CE for the sixth term has been elected before, and with this consent, we will secure support from LegCo. So we are putting together a plan to seek the approval of LegCo for government reorganization, and it will be based on the proposal that we have 3 major secretaries and 15 bureaus as the basis. And we're waiting for further views, if any, from the CE-elect. As at today, I don't know how the government structure would look like exactly after the 1st of July. So we haven't provided any document to the LegCo and panels yet. And as I said to John yesterday, the timetable is very tight, and I hope we can have a confirmed view from the CE-elect as soon as possible. The third task is, of course, the celebration activities for the 25th anniversary of the founding of the Hong Kong SAR, and also the swearing-in ceremony on the 1st of July. With the epidemic easing, of course, we can start the preparation work very soon. Now, for the remaining 50 days in this term, we still have a lot of work to complete. Of course, we have never been slack in the enactment of legislation. I have to thank LegCo and for Bills Committee on the bill to abolish the MPF offsetting arrangements. They completed the clause-by-clause examination last Friday. In other words, the bill is likely to resume its second reading and third reading by the Council in June. So I'm very pleased with the development, and I must thank all legislators for this. And the second task, of course, is to continue to put the epidemic under control and to ensure that we can gradually and orderly resume to normal. I gave an account of the situation to you last week, and I think the situation has been by far steady. We have around 200 to 300 cases per day, and yesterday we had a 3-month low in terms of the number of confirmed cases. I think it was 233 yesterday. But may I suggest to the media that you do not take too much attention over the fluctuation of figures because inevitably there will be fluctuations. As I said, we've been monitoring the two indicators from Hong Kong Yuan, that is the effective reproduction rate, and second is the real-time digital proxy figure. Now, so long as the RT is less than 1, I think the latest figure is 0.6432. We don't have to worry. The situation is by and large normal, but of course, it will go up and down from time to time. And the second is the time point prevalence. And I think it's already fixed at about 10,000, but of course, it may fluctuate. I think it was 0 for a day or two, but then yesterday it went up to 0.32%. But because it is at such a low level, there is no cause for concern. So every day at the 4:30 PC, I believe figures to be announced will continue to see some day-to-day fluctuation. However, this will not affect our earlier announced plan of gradual relaxation of social distancing measures. So starting on the 19th of May, we'll have the third round of relaxation of social distancing measures. So we announced that some of the measures and the second stage of relaxation will be announced, and it was well received by the community. And we're pleased to see that there can be more activities going on in the community. The third task is, while we see some vibrancy in our economy, again, the catering and the retail industries are doing better, but we announced earlier a scheme to support our enterprises and also employment. We will continue to put effort in this area. So on application, on processing of applications and disbursement of funds, we will do it as soon as possible. Take the ESS 2022. For example, we received applications from 140,000 employers in May. That's already close to 80% of the earlier predicted figure of 160,000 employers. 1.2 million employees are going to be protected. And in May, they'll be able to receive subsidy under ESS. And we've also got close to 10,000 applications, 100,000 applications from self-employed persons. According to my colleague, about 45,000 employers will be able to receive notification to receive the wage subsidy under ESS today, and the total amount is $2.3 million. So whether we're talking about the temporary unemployment relief or ESS, we will disperse the funds as soon as possible, so that as our businesses resume operation, we can provide more support to them. Questions are welcome.
And may the press please put up your hand and state the media you represent and speak through the microphone given. And please be concise with your question and maximum 2 questions with no follow-up. TV news. I would like to ask about the COVID-19 situation. Last week there have been some relaxation and things seems to be going well. And can we advance the second and the third stage so that we can ease all the measures by June? And you mentioned about the government reorganization is on a very tight schedule. That when will the proposal be finalized, as we need to go through the legislative procedures that people will know that when the next term of government will go about. And well, without the reorganization proposal, I suppose that we need to finalize the proposal within the next 2 weeks. For the COVID-19 situation, the public is glad to see that after on the 15th of April, that we've seen a drop of below a certain level. Therefore, we announced that we can ease that for the next stage of easing, will be about the next week, about 19th of May. For the three-step process of easing, for the third stage, that will happen around late June. Well, there's not much left to relax by the third stage. For example, for the catering establishments, for the second stage, and we have allowed more attendees at banquets. Well, the next stage will be lifting of all the caps. Well, acting out of prudence, we will wait and see. If there's any room for easing, I'm personally inclined to allow everyone and to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the government in a more relaxed way. Well, I suppose that we shall wait for the second stage to be implemented first. Well, for of the government organization is not under my control. I've submitted a timetable to the CE-elect. So by next week, hopefully, that the proposal will go through the Executive Council first. For a package proposal which involve legal amendments will require discussion and endorsement by the EXCO. Even though I'm confident that today EXCO will accept the 3 chief secretaries and 15 policy bureaus proposal, however, we need to go through the whole process. And then come the scrutiny of the proposal. For example, we need to go to the establishment subcommittee as it involve creation of new positions and redeployment, a lot of positions, changing the name of the permanent secretaries, etc. And for the establishment subcommittee, then we'll go to the finance committee. And the finance committee endorsed the staffing proposals and the expenditure involved. Well, the proposal will involve $30 million of recurring expenditure. Then it will do a government resolution at the Legislative Council meeting to amend the names of the secretaries and the policy bureaus. Well, since the names of the titles props up in a lot of legislation, therefore we need to change them. As opposed to, we need to invoke Cap 1 to change the titles accordingly. Our original timetable is that we will discuss it at the next week EXCO meeting. The LegCo had expressed its full cooperation. President Andrew Leung said that yesterday. If we can delay it a bit slightly more for a more comprehensive proposal, I still see this as feasible. I'll let the CE-elect inform me that how we should go about with the timetable. I suppose that the cabinet formation would not wait for the LegCo passage of the proposal. Well, that's one of the advantages of the improved electoral system of patriots administrating Hong Kong. We know the LegCo will support the Hong Kong government. And back in January, we have outlined the detailed proposals. And each policy secretaries have briefed the LegCo panels on why do we need to have the culture and sports spirit, and there has been some discussion in the public sometime to forge a consensus. We need to compress the electrical procedures within a shorter time frame. We are quite confident of able to achieving this. In the front row.
This is from Bloomberg. Last week, John Lee said that his role is to remove the obstacles to satisfy the requirements for reopening the border with specifically the mainland. What are specifically the requirements to reopen the border, and what specifically are the obstacles? Thank you.
As you may recall, in September last year, following a very long period of zero local cases for almost 4 months, the Hong Kong SAR government had been discussing with the mainland authorities about resuming quarantine-free travel into the mainland. And the then Chief Secretary for Administration, Mr. John Lee, was responsible for leading the Hong Kong SAR government delegation to discuss with the mainland authorities. And some officials from the Central People's Government also arrived in Hong Kong to look at our anti-epidemic work so that they had a better idea of our strategy. So one of the prerequisites then was Hong Kong had to achieve no local infections for a while. So the first thing that any resumption of quarantine-free travel with the mainland will have to reaffirm whether this is still the prerequisite. Okay. And that's why I said in my last report, as you know, I issue a monthly report on Hong Kong SAR government's anti-epidemic work. So in my last monthly report at the very beginning, I said that Hong Kong still has to strictly adhere to a strategy to try to reduce the importation of cases, and hence this hotel quarantine and also the flight suspension mechanism. But at the same time, also need to have some sort of social distancing measures to prevent a rebound. And these measures exactly were to create the necessary preconditions for resuming quarantine-free travel into the mainland. But the first thing we need to do, if it happens within my term, or John has to do if it happens within the beginning of his term, is to engage with the mainland authorities and to understand whether what we have discussed last September to December still stand as the prerequisites for the resumption of travel.
好，我哋問多最後一位記者兩條問題。
Let's have the last two questions. On the back row. Commercial radio. Well, Mr. Lee was just elected with 1,416. Do you think he's a better candidate for his chief executive? That during your term, the public ratings of the administration is quite low. Are you confident that the next administration can rebuild a public confidence? As I said before, I will not comment the governance of the incoming chief executive. It is not the time to summarize my work. Therefore, I will not answer the question. Thank you. That's the end of the press conference. Thank you.